Hi everyone, Maria here, and welcome to Season 1 of GGUTTALKS, GGUTT, a podcast focusing on business and tech for good, experience design, and gut feelings. How are you seeing the progression of the term, but also the thin line between services and the design of services and customer experience?
Well, again, I think when most people use the term customer experience, they mean service. It's good services, great services, high quality service, but it's still service because it is nice and easy and convenient. Convenient is the antithesis of a memorable experience. So there is a bright line. I mean, there is a gray area, yes, but I think there's still a big line between service and experience, between customer experience and true distinctive experiences. And one aspect is around time, that again, the time well saved versus the time well spent. Experience design is about the design of time. It's the design of the time your customers spend with you. That's what you're doing. That's why you need dramatic structure. It needs to rise up to a climax and come back down again. And often that climax, guess what? Climaxes happen because they're earned through trials and tribulations and overcoming crises. Well, service design tries to eliminate all the trials and the tribulations, the crises. They want very flat dramatic structure. They want things to go very easy. Again, nice, easy, and convenient. And so you never rise to the level of an earned climax. And that means it's not going to be memorable, right? They try and pull all the memorable things out of it. The other big distinction between service design and true experience design is what versus how. And services are about the what. You design the what, the functionality, the functional things that people have to do. If you're designing the service of a retail store, right, you have to design how you merchandise, how you place clothes or books or whatever it might be on racks, how you straighten them up, how you replenish them, how you check people out, how you do inventory management, and all of that. All of that is what. Experiences are about the how. They're about how you do each of those things. And when you design intentionally, right, what that how is, then you can turn any mundane service interaction into an engaging encounter.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you to define what it is, because it's all about language. I guess when you talk to different customers as well, you end up talking to them in their own language to see what you mean. So, and I think through the conversation, this will come across for people who might not be really focused on experiences. But as you kind of alluded to, companies do compete for customers' attention because it's part of this time and this moment. So, right. And customers want something, and it's like, I want it and I want it now, basically. And they want something memorable at the same time. And if you think about the fashion industry, for example, as a prime example, and what we defined as luxury is it's not the products by themselves or the goods that you buy, but it's the convenience, which is the antidote you were talking about as well. But we saw that in fast fashion earlier, and the luxurious brands, or if you're on the couture brands, for instance, They started catching up after. So how do you perceive the shift, if you want, on the competitive advantage in that case?
Well, that really relates to thinking about mass customization, because what the fast fashion did is they brought the production of the goods, that much closer to the customer, but they still didn't go far enough. And big brands, the couture brands are reducing their cycle times as well. But the problem is, what you need to get down is to this individual living, breathing person. And you need to produce just for them. You need to produce on demand for them. And that's what mass customization enables, is to efficiently, with high volume, with low cost, produce exactly what people want, getting rid of all your finished goods inventory, right? And in apparel in particular, over 30%, it could be as much as 50% or more of apparel items that are produced are never bought by anybody. right? The amount of
Yes,
economic waste, the waste of the Earth's resources is like horrific, because they insist on designing it way in advance, producing it in advance, and then shoving it out the door through all of their retail outlets, whether that's in malls or online. And instead, they need to flip that model and start with the customer. Who is this customer? What do they want? What's their size? What's their style? What's their fashion? What's their color preferences? And then produce on demand for them. Some things can be done immediately in a store, like eyeglasses have been done that way for decades now, where they brought the factory to the store. Others may take a few days, others a week or two. But it all can be done. That requires a word you used earlier. It's one of my favorite words in the world, is mindset change, right? It's the mindset that it takes to be able to do that. And then also, again, you can provide a much better experience because you're working with each customer individually to design and then make and then deliver exactly what they want.
You touched on something interesting, and I'm going to be paraphrasing here because I can't remember exactly. But during the pandemic, I read an article by Giorgio Armani where he was saying he was the first one, because in Milan, the pandemic hit and everything shut down straight away in February and during Fashion Week. So he was the first one to say, we're not doing the fashion shows anymore. We're just stopping everything right now. Right. And then over time, he started, releasing articles, or the press was writing that he was saying that the goods the fashion and the outfits they design are, yes, timeless, but they're not made to be timeless in that sense, all sold in that way. And he wants to have his products. He doesn't want people to be buying constantly over time and so on, but just use them, because there was this, if you want, huge awareness in the world around sustainability and everything that's happening, but also the support we saw given by large brands as well, so quickly transforming their manufacturing outlets and everything during the pandemic. Now, I haven't followed up to see if this is still the case, but it was interesting to read the shift of mindset in that sense, to see that, okay, they're starting to think differently. It's not only the investors and the VCs and hedge funds that are trying to think differently, but it is also this awareness in this area. And I wanted to mention it here because it's just related to what you were saying. But I'm also, and since we're talking about fashion and so on as well, I'm curious to know your take on advertising these days, in this day and age, because Clubhouse and Spotify and Netflix, we're not going by screen and sound, but it's like the smartphone replaces everything. But a glass of wine is also the competitor to something in another industry. So what's your take? Where are we heading to?
That's where the subtitle to the re-release of the Experience Economy last year was competing for customer time, attention, and money. Reed Hastings, the founder of Netflix, says their main competitor is sleep. Right? So you're competing against every other company in the world for the time, the attention, and the money of individual consumers or individual business people. And so you need to recognize the basic principle of the experience economy, that the experience is the marketing. That the best way to generate demand, which is what advertising tries to do, is to generate demand for your offering, whether it's a commodity, a good, a service, experience, or even a transformation, is with an experience so engaging that customers can't help but pay attention, spend their time with you, and then buy your offering as a result. I mean, that's what Fashion Week is. It was the one place where Giorgio Armani could really create an amazing experience, not directly for consumers, but vicariously for consumers who are watching it on TV or looking at it on the internet or reading about it in the papers, but for the fashion industry. And so they recognize that basic principle. They don't bring it to the stores. The stores are just merchandising like most other retail stores. You particularly after this pandemic, you have to give reasons for a shopper to come into your store. Otherwise, they'll just buy on the internet, right? Or they'll buy contactless delivery. And that reason has to be the experience that they have in there, and let that drive your demand generation. So I'm always telling companies to shift your advertising budget into experiences. Another big factor, one of the other books we wrote is called Authenticity, What Consumers Really Want. And one of the things we say in there, chapter 8 is the marketing chapter, and we say how advertising is a phoniness generating machine. Where advertisers and their marketing agencies can't help but exaggerate what it is about their offerings, put them in the best possible light, and really create a phony image of what they are. Instead, they need to, and then the best way to do it is to create places where people can experience who you are, right? Then there can be no disconnect between what you say about yourself and what people experience, because they become one and the same place. For demand generation reasons, where it's easy to show that experiences will generate much more demand much more effectively than advertising, and for the fact that it allows you to be perceived as authentic by your current and potential customers. So that's the way to go.